On a quiet night in rural Minnesota, a 19-year-old man called his parents after driving into a ditch. He sounded calm, even a little annoyed, but then he said two chilling words, "Oh, shit," and the call went dead. Brandon Swanson has never been seen again. Brandon Swanson, a bright and social 19-year-old, had just wrapped up his first year in the school's wind energy program. He planned to transfer to a university in Iowa that fall. That night, Brandon went out to celebrate the end of the semester with friends from school. It was May 14, 2008. Classes had just ended at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Friends later said he didn't seem intoxicated. He had a couple of drinks, but nothing excessive. Around midnight, Brandon got in his green Chevy Lumina and began the half-hour drive home to his parents' house in Marshall. Brandon attended the small gatherings, one in Canby, Minnesota, where the college was located, and another in a nearby town. His parents, Brian and Annette, got into their truck immediately and started driving toward him. While they drove, they kept Brandon on the phone, asking him to describe his surroundings. Somewhere along the way, things took a strange turn. He and his wife continued to search, but couldn't find Brandon anywhere. They tried calling back, but he didn't answer. By morning, Brandon's phone was going straight to voicemail. He described gravel roads, fences, and what he believed were nearby lights. At times, the conversation was quiet. Brandon was focused on walking, but his parents pushed back. They knew something wasn't right. Brandon wasn't the kind of kid who would just disappear. Search dogs tracked Brandon's scent along the gravel road and into a field. From there, it led to a wooded area, and eventually to the edge of the Yellow Medicine River. Then, suddenly, around 10 a.m., he stopped mid-sentence. This suggested Brandon had made it across the river. But what happened that remains unknown. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no damage, except to the bottom of the car. The doors were locked. The car had simply been driven off the road into a ditch and left. After that, it was as if Brandon had vanished into thin air. His parents called repeatedly, and the phone rang each time until the battery likely died the following day. That night, the temperature dipped into the low 40s. If he fell or got injured, he could have succumbed to the elements. Investigators said that indicated the phone remained powered on and in range of a cell tower. But it never transmitted another signal or location. He hadn't been near Lind at all. His last known phone ping came from a tower near Taunton, Minnesota, about 25 miles northwest of where he thought he was. No personal items ever turned up. And if he had drowned in the river, experts say his remains likely would have surfaced or been found during the extensive searches conducted over the following months. His car had gone off the road and into a shallow ditch. But he sounded completely lucid during the phone call. His speech was normal. He described his surroundings clearly and reacted naturally to being lost. His final words, "Oh, shit," suggest a sudden external event, not a medical one. They hold on to hope that one day, someone will speak up. Maybe a clue will surface. Maybe a hiker, a farmer, a hunter, someone will stumble across something that solves the mystery. He wasn't hurt, but he couldn't get the car to move. Still, he sounded calm, annoyed, maybe, but not scared. At 1:15 a.m., Brandon called his parents. His phone died after nearly a full day. So if someone had taken him or found his phone, they would have had time to move it or use it, but there was no such activity. Still, rural Minnesota is full of back roads, abandoned buildings, and remote properties. That's possible. But it seems unlikely given the scale of the search and the fact that trained dogs followed his scent well beyond the river. Over the years, they've pushed for stronger legislation around how law enforcement responds to missing adults. In 2009, thanks to their efforts, Minnesota passed Brandon's law, requiring police to begin an immediate investigation when an adult is reported missing under dangerous or suspicious circumstances regardless of age. If someone wanted to hide something or someone, it wouldn't be hard. He told his parents he believed he was near the town of Lind, only about 10 minutes from their home. It didn't take long for something to feel wrong. Brandon was giving them directions, but when they got to the area where he claimed to be, they couldn't find him. They flashed their lights. He said he couldn't see them. They honked their horn. He heard nothing. Brandon insisted he knew where he was. He said he saw the lights of Lind in the distance and was going to walk toward them. He told his dad to just meet him there. They stayed on the phone together for 47 minutes as Brandon walked. The last words Brandon Swanson ever spoke were, "Oh, shit." The call went silent. His father assumed the phone had lost signal or died. They contacted police immediately. At first, officers assumed Brandon was just a teenager who had stayed out too late and would show up soon. Later that morning, authorities traced Brandon's phone records and found something unexpected. It was now clear that Brandon had been lost and possibly disoriented. A search party was launched. The following day, Brandon's car was found abandoned on the edge of a gravel road near Taunton. That's when the real search began. Over the next several weeks, police, volunteers, bloodhounds, and helicopters combed the area. Searchers noted something eerie. The dogs lost the scent at the river's edge, but then picked it up again on the other side. There was no sign of Brandon's body, no clothing, no phone, no wallet, nothing. The dogs followed the scent for a while longer before it faded in an open field. What makes the case even stranger is the fact that Brandon's phone continued to ring for 24 hours after he disappeared. There were no credit card transactions, no social media activity, no sightings, nothing. So, what happened? Several theories have been proposed, some grounded in logic, others in speculation. One of the most widely accepted theories is that Brandon died of exposure after getting lost in the rural fields and woods of southwestern Minnesota. But there are holes in that theory. Despite exhaustive searches, his body was never found. Another theory is that Brandon suffered a medical emergency, like a stroke or seizure. Then there's the darker possibility: foul play. Could someone have found Brandon that night and harmed him? But there's no evidence of an abduction, no tire tracks, no eyewitnesses, no signs of a struggle. Just a quiet gravel road and a missing teenager. Another theory is that Brandon accidentally fell into an unmarked cistern or sinkhole somewhere searchers didn't find. For Brandon's family, the hardest part is the lack of answers. It was too late to help Brandon, but it may help others. Today, Brandon's case remains open. His family continues to search for answers. Until then, Brandon Swanson remains one of Minnesota's most haunting missing persons cases. A 19-year-old who called for help, who walked through the darkness, who said, "Oh, shit," and was never seen again.